Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard brought to you by our sponsor, The Great Game of Business. I'm Loren Feldman. I'm here with Gene Marks to talk about the things we think business owners should be following this week. Welcome, Gene.
I am so happy to be here, Loren. Let's talk about what you think business owners should be following this week. Let's hear what it is. All right, bring it on.
Well, I think we agree on this because I got 3 stories that you've written recently that I want to talk about. So let's start with this one. You recently wrote about team building platforms that can help business owners engage employees, especially if some or all of those employees are working remotely. I have to say, I was a little surprised to see this. I would have expected you to write about platforms that help owners spy on their employees to catch them when they're not working. But you went the other way with this one.
Yeah, first of all, I'm actually surprised that you feel that way. I mean, I know I complain about the workers and this and that, whatever, but
you're a little suspicious sometimes, Gene.
Wait a second, but I have often said that, I let my employees, they do what they're going to do. I give them autonomy. They're grown-ups, they're adults, and I bristle at these companies that use these monitoring software products.
You know, you're absolutely right. You have said that here before. And I also know that how you treat your employees. Sometimes I think you come across tougher in the things you write than the way you handle your employees.
No, it's just a mutual respect. That's all. I think business owners should respect their employees. I think employees should also have respect as well for their jobs and their bosses. And
sure.
When I don't see that, that's when that's what the quiet quitting and the, partially working Mondays or whatever it is, that's so disrespectful to me. It's funny. So and the monitoring software, I kind of equated the monitoring software to when my kids were like younger and they were on Facebook. And like every parent goes through like, oh, we should be monitoring what our kids are doing online. And my wife and I tried it for like about a minute and we're like, we can't. I mean, I literally felt my IQ going down and saying, you know what, there's got to be better ways to make sure your kids are, behaving right.
Did you find those ways?
No. I
didn't either. Good.
Many stories for other time. But so put aside the monitoring software. I did talk a lot about with this one company called BDS Trust. They're Benefits Trust. They're in Philly. They are like basically a consulting firm, a benefits firm. They try to help people around the country get access to government benefits. Good for them. They have a distributed workforce. This is what's important here. And they really became virtual when COVID happened. So they're like every other company out there. Everybody that's listening to this, we have work from home people. Fair enough. And these work from home people, you want to keep them motivated and productive and still kind of engaged with the company. So there's been this like significant increase in popularity. I'm seeing among a bunch of my clients of like gamification applications, which are pretty inexpensive, by the way. They're like $3 to $5 a month, an employee. The one that I featured in this piece was by Bonusly. Bonusly has its competitors, so they're not the only game in town. BDS Trust uses them. And what Bonusly does, Loren, it's like I call it the Harry Potter of gamification applications. It's like everybody gets points, managers and employees, and you award points to each other. Like, hey, Loren, great job on that game of business project that you worked on. 10 points for Gryffindor,
Wait, who awards the points? Your colleagues or your boss?
Both. So the boss can award points and then you can award points to a fellow colleague. And then at the end of a period, whatever points that you've got tallied up, you can cash them in. And you can use them for like gift cards, or you can use them for you can turn it into cash. Some people take those points and they you can donate it to charity as well, which is great. So these are all like different options for just keeping employees engaged. And this one client absolutely loved using it. I mean, they thought that it was it had really increased involvement. The other thing I learned about this, Loren, about all these sort of when I was writing this, is that work from home is no longer just work from home. It's not good enough anymore to say, hey, okay, fine, you can work 2 days a week from home and then that's it. There's like a lot of indirect sort of costs and things that you need to do to properly set up your employees to work from home. Like, for example, if you're going to have somebody work from home, you really need to make sure that your IT firm gets involved and make sure that they're secure and right, not doing stuff from their middle grader's device. And if they're working from home, you really should have good collaboration software. And if they're working from home, you really should have some type of a rewards platform like Bonusly or something else to keep your employees connected to each other and engaged. Like, it's not just working from home anymore. It's like a package of things that you need to make sure that you're providing so that they succeed. Does that make sense?
It does. I have to say, I've spent most of my career as an employee, and when when I've been at places that tried things like this, I've always been kind of a reluctant participant.
Right.
Especially I've been at places where they did a lot of, things to encourage employees to give a colleague a pat on the back. And, there were some kinds of there was always some kind of reward for that, even if it was, just being called out publicly for being a good human being.
Yeah.
And it just, there's something that always felt a little bit faked or false to me. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So it's funny. I actually just posted on Twitter this week, this video that, it just caught my attention. It's not an anti-employee video, but it is. It was a scene from Mad Men where John Hamm as Don Draper was. He was with, I forget the name of the redheaded, the actress who that he was. Anyway, she was upset with him, and he was said to her, you give me ideas and I pay you. And she was like, yes, but you never say thank you to me. And he's like, that's what the money's for, So, right? So there's a lot of bosses and some employees that are like, hey, listen, you don't need to give me this bullshit. You can just, pay me well and I'll do my job. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I need. But there are other employees that like to be recognized elsewhere. They like.
And the game is different now with so many people working remote, at least part of the time. You've been remote for quite some time. Have you tried any of these platforms?
No, and I think I'm going to try it. Now, it's going to cost me more. It's not just the cost per month per employee, but if an employee is going to get a gift card, somebody's going to have to buy it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I know who.
Yeah. Or if they earn cash, or if they want to take the money and give it to a charity, like somebody's got to be in the middle of all that. So
that money can't be that much. I mean, if it actually works, you'll be happy to pay that money, I suspect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's $50 a month for a gift card or something, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? But people are, I don't know. I mean, I have to think about it only for my company because I was thinking of trying it, but things have been fine. And the people that I employ, I have one guy that works for me who's in his late 20s, but everybody else are over 35. They're a little bit that much older where they're not, I don't know. They've never asked for this. I don't think that they, this is something that would be, it just seems like it's a younger person's game. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But
it's interesting.
It depends on the culture of your workforce. All I know is that this company loves it. And this, I interviewed the CEO of Bonusly. They've got like tens of thousands of, employees that use this. And, it's a platform for people that are trying to make connections among all of your remote workers. It could be right for your company.
Makes sense. All right, next topic. We've talked a lot about artificial intelligence, Gene, and I hesitate to keep coming back to it, but I'm kind of thinking you've been writing about it a lot, and I'm kind of thinking it's going to end up being the story of the year.
Oh yeah. There's, and I think that I think you and I need to continue to talk about it. The reason why is that there's a bunch of news coming in the world of AI, and it's important stuff, Loren. I think you and I have our obligation to make sure that your community are well aware of the different tools that are out and coming out, so that they can leverage them, because it's all to save money.
And I was hesitant with the metaverse because that seemed distant. And at first I thought AI seemed pretty distant, but it keeps getting closer, and there keep being things that you can actually do now. And that's what I liked about the most recent column you wrote, where you listed a whole bunch of tools, quite a few of which I had never heard of, that people can use today.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep doing that. And also, I do a lot of speaking. I have booked like a bunch of speaking gigs over the next 8 months that are just nothing but AI and tech.
Really?
There's a big appetite for people out there to know what's what. And again, we've talked about this before, but we're going to keep. I'm going to keep banging it home. If you really want to keep current on AI and how that could impact your business, if you're a Microsoft business, follow Microsoft, and if you're a Google business, follow Google, because they're going to be leading the way. But then there's a bunch of little smaller apps and industry focused apps that I'm going to try and make sure that people are comfortable with. So I listed out 10. You and I spoke before. ChatGPT, obviously.
We have talked about that.
Right. Microsoft Copilot.
We talked about that.
We talked about that. And that is big changes coming by the end of the year.
Give us a quick overview of that.
Microsoft Copilot is and will be when you're in Office. We'll use that as the best. It'll be in a lot of different applications, but for business people, when you're in Office, there's going to be a button. By the way, I think it's like $30 a month a user. They're going to charge for it. And the button will assist you. It's your Copilot in Office. So if you're writing an email, it will suggest better ways to write something. It'll be right there where you can actually ask it for more information, like ChatGPT does, to help you enhance your research and your documentation. When you're in a spreadsheet, it will help you just do the analysis, or it will automatically perform tasks in the spreadsheet. So you're like, can you please create a pie chart based on the data in fields, B4 through C17? And it just does it. If you are in PowerPoint, please create a slide with a dog sitting in front of a river, and it just does it. And if you're in Teams, and I think we talked about this before, but which I love talking about, is that it will allow you to attend soon multiple meetings at the same time.
Well, wait a second.
Yeah. I thought it's so you, Lauren, you can attend a Teams meeting in person. And if you have another Teams meeting going on at the same time, you tell Copilot to attend it on your behalf. And what it does is it listens in on the meeting. It then provides you at the end of the meeting with a full transcript.
It's not exactly the same thing as attending the meeting, though. I mean, it's not going to talk for me, is it? It's not going to make the brilliant suggestions that I would have made had I been there.
I would think that a bot can pretty much duplicate your thoughts, Lauren, in a fairly short amount of time.
Okay.
But it'll summarize the meeting, and then if it hears your name and people are asking you to do things, it'll schedule follow-up tasks for you in Outlook automatically.
I'm not sure I'm crazy about that idea either.
It's coming. So there's Copilot. Google is going to do the exact same thing with what's called Bard and Duet. And then there's other little apps. There's a cool app called Crayon, which creates art and photos and other graphics right from giving it a text description.
Is art in quotation marks?
It is not, but it's you can say create a drawing of Lauren hitting a baseball in Comiskey Stadium, and it will create an image doing that. It's pretty crazy, So
I like that.
Yeah. So all those apps are,
Well, here's the one I wanted to ask you, or maybe a couple, but tell me about Interview AI. That sounded really interesting from your description.
Yeah, it is it's a preparation tool. And what it does is it works. It's really great if you're like a remote contractor or you're a freelancer. It will conduct with you like demo interviews. You provide it with information in advance about the job or the project that you're looking for, and its algorithms will generate and ask you interview questions so that you can be prepared for that interview. And then future iterations of the product promise to have you do the interview, and video. It'll video you and then come back with comments to you like, "Don't blink so much," or "Stop smirking," or use a more positive tone, or stop saying so much. So it's like a personal assistant. That's what AI is. It's like a good personal assistant to help you do important tasks.
Is it only usable by job candidates, or is there a use for it for business owners as well?
Right now, the business owners that they're focused on are individual business owners, like freelancers and independent contractors. So that's generally what it would be. You could probably turn the tables And if you're like, hey, I'm going to interview somebody for a job, let me pretend that I'm the employee, and maybe it'll give me some good interview questions to ask, potential employees. So I'm sure you can turn the tables on it as well. By the way, and I didn't mention in this listing, but I'll mention in the future, there are already some interesting AI applications that do video interviews. One of them is called HireVue. And what it does is it actually
so you can attend 2 interviews at once.
Exactly right. So you're super productive. But it's a creepy application, Loren, because it videos your interview and then it provides the employer with a report on how you did. Not only how well you answer the questions, but your tone of voice, your eye movements. It's very creepy. And they're biased. So people are concerned about this. There's issues in different states about using these tools because they were written by biased developers. But they'll get better, hopefully, and a little bit less biased over time.
You had mentioned another one that watches videos for you, right?
So, yeah.
Adify?
Yeah, it's Adify. And what it'll do is, there's a lot of let's take this example, okay? Somebody listens to this podcast. We're boring the shit out of everybody, but I don't know, there might be a couple of nuggets, that might be of interest, So theoretically, this app will listen to this podcast on your behalf and then provide to you a summary of all the pertinent points. So for this 30-minute conversation, you'll get a 30-second summary of the one thing that we talked about that has any relevance. But if you want to I don't know, there's so much great content out there. You want to see an interview with, an old interview with Steve Jobs, and it's an hour and a half long and you don't have the time to watch it. You can use Adify to watch that YouTube video for you and then deliver to you, the 5 or 6 takeaways that it finds from there, which is so cool.
My only complaint about your write-up about Adify is that you had a sentence in there that said, as a business owner, we often have to wear all the hats. Yeah. And I think it would have been better if you had specified the exact number of hats that business owners have to wear. I'm a little disappointed you didn't do that.
I'm bald, so I wear all the hats.
Last one, there was a one called Haywire, a content generator. Does that just do what people have been using ChatGPT to do, or is there something in addition that it does?
It is. It's very similar to it, but what it'll do is that you can set it up to watch for certain news stories and have it actually take them and regenerate them that you can then use as your own personal blogs or of interest. So if you're in the home remodeling business and you've got a blog about home remodeling, it'll keep content of keep track of any home remodeling related stories, take them and then create an own story from the story. It'll rewrite it with any other salient points that it finds online. And it can also become different personalities. So it can, if you want somebody writing it from the standpoint of a salesperson versus standpoint of a service person or an accounting person, it can do that as well.
The thing that struck me about this is that it sounds like it's current. So that's a difference between this and ChatGPT, because my understanding is ChatGPT stops in September of 2021.
That is absolutely correct. And by the way, one of the differences between Google Bard and ChatGPT is that Google Bard is current, just so you know, and ChatGPT, which is Microsoft's, by the way, you're right, ends in September of 2021. This Haywire is you're right on target there. It is looking at real-time news that's being generated in information and turn it into stories for you.
I checked out ChatGPT to see if it could help me prepare the 21 Hats morning report. And when I realized that the information stopped in September of 2021, I decided this probably isn't going to be terribly helpful for my daily email newsletter.
You can use Bard to do that. You might want to consider doing
Or Haywire?
Or Haywire. Haywire, though, is more of a service that sets it up and then it just runs for you. I guess it can be used on demand, but it's really designed if you want to keep a continuous blog going on your website. Of different stories and such, it will do that for you. But I would try Bard, Lauren. That will have the most updated information.
I didn't know that Bard was current. Thank you for sharing that. So you also recently wrote a story about AI in which you suggested that insurance agents are going to have a major AI problem that none of the AI companies are prepared to solve. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and I picked on insurance agents only as an example because they're kind of indicative of like business owners around the country. Insurance agents are old, man. First of all, people apparently, like young people stay in the insurance business for like 1 to 2 years. It's like got a high turnover. And who can blame them? It's brutal. And the older people there that have their book of business, more than half insurance agents are over the age of 40. And the point I made is, I wrote this for Forbes. I laid out some of the great AI that's coming for an insurance agent. Some of it from, like we mentioned, Copilot, Google Bard, but then, HR platforms, CRM platforms are going to have great AI that insurance agents can use to look for more business. And then there's already some insurance platforms specifically for the industry, which I mentioned in the column, that are using AI and plan to use more AI to help insurance agents, again, manage their book of business while they have it, as well as search for like the best, deals and binders and whatever, and help, keep their clients up to date and suggest other, policies. So really good stuff. But the thing is, Loren, is that it's not like you push a button and it happens. I mean, this is like transformational stuff. So you've got older people that are running businesses that are set in their ways. I know them because they're my clients. I am one of them. And they're like, hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave me alone, So you've got Microsoft and Google and all these companies investing in this great, AI technology, but it's going to be risky to implement it for businesses. If their data isn't good, they're going to have to get it fixed. They're going to have to convince their employees and ensure them that they're not being replaced by a robot. You got to be innovative. You've got to like give it some time. You've got to figure out. You got to put the effort and the time into it. And then you're taking a risk that maybe the wrong message gets sent to your clients and upsets people. A lot of older people aren't going to want to do that. They're like, hey, man, and I think they're going to get hurt if they don't do it. But you can't put a gun to their heads. I think it's going to be the biggest thing that we as a generation are going to have to be dealing with.
It's like most of us, I think, have heard the example of the lawyer who filed a brief that was created by ChatGPT that had a bunch of fictitious legal cases cited in it.
Right.
That would scare anybody, but especially somebody who might be older and a little reluctant to give it a try anyway.
I'll give you a good example though, Loren, is like take your own business. Like you've got research that you want to do for the daily roundup that you do. You'd want it distributed on social. You want it to go out on email. There are tools right now that can help you automate that. And there will be more AI tools that will definitely help you automate all of this, but you're going to have to trust them. And you trust yourself because you've got a process for doing this. And I bet you, old man, are going to have a hard time at some point saying, like, I don't know if I want to invest in this and spend the time. And I don't know, it's going to be daunting for you. I'm not saying you won't do it because, but it's
you're not wrong, Gene.
Yeah. Right.
It will be tricky.
Yeah. So, and I think that's an issue that a lot of these tech companies are going to be facing is convincing the old man. My recommendation to tech companies is just, play the long game because eventually we're going to die. And when that happens, then their technology will be.
Well, on that happy note, Gene Marks is a CPA who writes weekly on small business for The Guardian, The Hill, The Philadelphia Inquirer, The Washington Times, The Chicago Daily Herald, Forbes, and Entrepreneur. You can also hear him on ABC Radio's Eye on the World with John Batchelor. Gene hosts 2 small business podcasts with Paychex Corporation and The Hartford. This episode was brought to you by The Great Game of Business, which helps businesses use an open book management system to help build healthier companies. You can learn more at greatgame.com. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Loren. It was great speaking, and we'll speak next week.
Always a pleasure. Have a great week, everyone.